Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here. I'm very excited to be moderating this session. My name is Susie Ellis. I'm from New York, and I head up the Global Wellness Institute and the Global Spa and Wellness Summit and the Wellness Tourism Congress, amongst a few other things in my past. We have a great panel, really a great panel, with lots of knowledgeable people. And I want to get to asking them questions and hopefully answering your questions. This is about wellness tourism and medical tourism. And we've had two sessions, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday before. So we've already talked about what is wellness tourism. And yesterday's session was about investment in wellness tourism. And so I just wanted to start by asking if any of you were at either of those sessions. Was anyone at the one on Tuesday that was about wellness tourism? Okay, very good, quite a few of you. And then yesterday about investment in wellness? Okay, so kind of a mixture, and some of you are here for the first time. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to just introduce you to who is on the panel here. And then I'm just going to review a little bit about those two sessions to bring us up to date, because this is the third session, and it's a little more specialized because we're adding medical tourism to the conversation. And so right here on my right, your left, is Brian Hunter. He's the operations director for Lifehouse Spa and Hotel in the UK. Very successful. I haven't been there, but I'm excited to hear about it. Second, we have Alfredo Pineda. He is the CEO of Shaw Wellness Clinic in Spain. You've won a lot of awards, I know. And next to Alfredo is Michael Nazel. He is the chairman of the Jordan Federation of Tourism Associations. And so we get to hear from him about the governmental role in wellness and medical tourism. And then on the end, we have Mia Kirikos. She is the Chief Brand Officer for Spa Finder Wellness in New York. And her background also includes having launched 6 brands for Darwood in her previous life. So we have quite the talent here. So before they're going to introduce themselves and a little bit more about their jobs and what they're doing, let me just review what was covered in sessions 1 and 2. And then we'll go to questions, and I will do question and answer at the end. So, if you have questions, I really want to answer those for you, because that's really why we're here. So the first session on Tuesday was about what exactly is wellness tourism. And we had discussion from the panelists there about different definitions, including tourists who seek to improve or maintain their well-being, being sort of a general way of defining wellness tourism. And we did have a discussion about the fact that wellness tourism was more than just about spas. It's also about fitness, about nutrition, about baths and springs, about mental health, nature, beauty retreats. It's quite a wide, large segment. We also talked a little bit about the numbers. 494 billion revenue per year for wellness tourism. And that is from the 2 recent research reports that the good news is they're available for you if you're interested. This is the first Global Wellness Tourism Economy report that was ever done globally that has the numbers, which is part of why there's so much more enthusiasm and momentum in wellness tourism, because now there's specific numbers and we see this growing globally. And then this report that came out this year, the Global Spa and Wellness Economy Monitor, has not only the updated wellness tourism numbers, but also the spa economy numbers, and also, for the very first time, mineral and thermal springs information. So these are available on the gsws.org website under Resources and Research. So if you're interested, and I think Annie, who's here, has a few copies for those of you who might want to take one with you today. But they're going to be available for everyone. A couple things we covered in that first one that might be important to this conversation is the idea of primary wellness travel and secondary wellness travel. These reports were done by SRI International, which was founded as Stanford Research Institute. And one of the things that came up in the report is that the way they suggest we look at wellness tourism is in two segments. So for example, the primary wellness traveler would be someone who is traveling specifically for their wellness and their health. So I would say probably Lifehouse and perhaps Shaw, you have people who are primary wellness travelers. And then the secondary wellness traveler is someone who may be going on a trip for another reason. It might be business, it might be honeymoon, whatever. But as they're traveling, they're also interested in their health and well-being. So they might take a spa experience, they might do a meditation retreat, they might do an aspect of health and wellness, although it's not the primary purpose. Do you have any idea which one might be larger in terms of the segment between primary and secondary? The secondary is actually much larger. There's many more people traveling for health and wellness as a part of their trip rather than just the sole part of their trip. But the primary is growing also. There's also the difference between international wellness travel and domestic wellness travel. And what we found, and I think it was mentioned on that day, that most people think about international wellness tourism. So going from the UK to Madeira or going to the Maldives, etc. But there's also internal. It's going, as I'm sure you have, Brian, a lot of people from the UK going to Lifehouse. So there's domestic as well as international. Also on Tuesday, one of the people, Steve, actually mentioned that he sees this momentum in wellness travel as possibly the next cruise industry. So that was his comment. And I think the bottom line at the end of that day was that wellness travel is about feeling better, which is why there's such a large group of people wanting to do that, and there's so much growth in that. As far as growth goes, the statistics also show that last year this travel segment was about a 400, it was a 12% increase from 2013 to 2014, and it's now 494 billion. But what was interesting is that the increase was 12%, which is larger. It's growing faster than tourism in general. And actually, it was a greater increase than the researchers had predicted the year before. And then lastly, on that day, we talked about what was fueling this, and health issues, obesity, diabetes, the increased level in stress, the fact that we're more sedentary, technology being a part of that, healthcare costs rising, so there's more emphasis on prevention, the urbanization that's happening, people moving to cities, and even, in fact, the aspect of loneliness and depression that's growing. And lastly, a number that was discussed was the fact that a wellness traveler is a high-yield traveler. They spend more money than a regular traveler. In fact, the domestic spend is about $688 for their trip. Their international spend is on average about $1,639. And those are huge increases over a regular traveler. And then yesterday was the investment in wellness travel discussion. We heard from Don Camilleri, who has created Center Parcs. Some of you may know that here in the UK. And I always like the fact he's very generous with numbers. And he let us know that this last Center Parcs that they opened was an investment of $250 million, which is a significant amount. But he also let us know that the payback, in other words, all of the money will be paid back in 6 years. So that's certainly an example of a successful investment. And then the question yesterday that was very key to the conversation is this whole idea of wellness travel something temporary, or is it more like a movement and something that will increase? And I would say that certainly there was a consensus that this is, and really fueled by all those issues, those are not going away. So I think there was consensus by everyone that this is not just a flash in the pan, this is a movement. So that will bring you up to date if you weren't at the first two sessions. And now I would like to ask each of our distinguished panelists to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about you and also the place where you are, and then we'll get into questions, and then we'll get into Q&A. Brian.
Great. Hello, my name's Brian Hunter. It's very nice to be here in this distinguished panel, along with the wonderful Miss Susie Ellis, of course. I actually worked out terribly last night that I've been in this industry for 40 years. And I started when I was obviously very, very young. And and over the last few years, I've gone through, I suppose, every side of the business that you could think of, which I was just sharing with Annie earlier this morning too. The last certainly the last 25 years in the spa industry. And I've been around the world. I've lived in Hong Kong, Singapore, India, Australia. And so I've been a bit of a world whore in the nicest possible way. And latterly, what was interesting, I've also worked with Mia with Starwood more than 10 years ago, and Mia and I did a lot with the Starwood Spa collection. So it's great to catch up with some people that we haven't seen for a long time. So more recently, I also had a school for therapists, and then just in the last 2.5 years, myself and my two friends, Peter Murphy and Donald Emsley, were brought in as a turnaround team to take over the Lifehouse, which had opened actually 3.5 years ago, and we took it on 2.5 years ago. The bank asked us if we would take over it because it had, the first year was a bit of a struggle for it. So we took it on, and in 2.5 years we've doubled the turnover, we've reduced the costs, and we actually now make a profit, which is great. And the Lifehouse is an amazing place. It's set in 130 acres of land, 35 treatment rooms, 89 bedrooms, and we have a very good wellness plan as well. We've got lots of wonderful wellness programs, and I have the wonderful our resident naturopath Sue Davis with me today, and we're now very pleased that the business is going the way that we want it to go. And that is a combination of the fact that we're first and foremost a spa hotel, and that we also have some exceptional wellness packages, and that we make ourselves, we're not the regular spa. We like to think that we're just slightly off that mainstream path, and that we sell very affordable packages. We're not 5-star, and we would never claim to be. And I think in this day and age, and the way that the wellness industry is going, that that has been very attractive to a lot of people. Sounds like
That you are you have secondary travelers. I think I was mistaken when I mentioned that. Absolutely. It's primary. It's more secondary, people who are coming for other reasons, and then they without doubt, more than 80% of our guests will have treatments. Yep. But they're coming for a break. Yep. For 1.7 days, to be very precise. Short breaks. But we do also have primary guests too, and hence the reason that we very much hung our hat on the fact that we are on the edge of the wedge, we firmly believe, of the wellness industry, and that wellness in the UK has still got a long way to go, and people are very aware of that there are wellness breaks available. And it's interesting, I know that we touched on yesterday, are they wellness breaks, are they well-being breaks, are they healthy breaks, are they spa breaks? And even just yesterday we actually asked some of our guests in the hotel, do they know the difference? And what do you call it? And a lot of them said healthy break. So it's about, we get very caught up, all of us in our own industry, but sometimes we forget what the actual guests want and what they call it. Very good point. That is why we're here. We're going to talk about definitions, and for that exact reason. So thank you, Brian. Thank you. So, Alfredo, tell us about Shaw and about yourself.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. and for all of you to attend to this conference. SHA, it's a place that changes life to people, that improve quality of life and teach you how to continue a healthy life after a stay with us. I have to recognize that some years ago I had no idea about wellness, about medical, something about tourism, but not
Because you're
much.
an attorney, correct?
I'm an attorney,
Yeah.
I'm economist, and I'm MBA, and we found this way because my father, our president, was very sick, and medicine couldn't help him to find the solution to his health problem. And he finally found the solution thanks to natural therapies and a very specific detox diet based on macrobiotics. And he understood that life was giving him a second chance, and he would like to create a place where we can share with people from all over the world all the experience, all the know-how of this journey. So my brother and me finished our works and came to support him to realize this dream that today it's called SHA. It has 6 years. We have, our location is in Spain, in Alicante region, Valencia region. 14 flights, London, Alicante, by the way, a day. And, we have 100 suites and 90 cabins for doctors and treatments, with a staff of 250 professionals from 35 countries, ready to make your life better, to improve your health, and make a change in a short period of time. We have very high-end guests coming from all over the world, and we understand that they have everything except time. So our goal is to be very effective in a short period of time and to make a change and to give them the tool and the information how to keep healthy after our stay with us.
Thank you. And I understand you're expanding, correct? Not only at SHA, but perhaps outside of Spain. So this shows that there's a great deal of success in what you're doing. And I think it's great to see that this is an example of the primary wellness traveler, someone who's looking for transformation. And as Brian was saying, you have the secondary traveler, probably a few primary also. So thank you. Michael, tell us about yourself and about Jordan.
Thank you very much for having me on the panel with you this morning. It's always nice to talk about Jordan, about the Dead Sea, and about the benefits that we can offer. I come originally from a family that has been in hospitality for 5 generations. And we've had hotels across between Jericho, Jerusalem, Amman, Petra, Aqaba, Dead Sea, for many, many years. And when I went to Lausanne, we did not hear anything about spas at that time.
You went to the
there was
Lausanne
no
Hotel
wellness,
School.
and I'm sure you're going to tell us more about what happened in Lausanne. But coming from that part of the world and seeing the Dead Sea and knowing about the history, we cannot but remember that this 1,000 square kilometer natural spa, the largest in the world, the whole Dead Sea area, is so therapeutic. That it has not been used except by King Herod 2,000 years ago, and now it's time to revive the whole aspects of the Dead Sea. Talking about the hot springs around the Dead Sea, and talking about the sulfurous hot water springs and the natural therapies, but most important is the 425 meters below sea level location of the Dead Sea. And since we're that far down, talking about somebody that goes up to a mountain and he has less oxygen, the minute you go down, you have more oxygen. We have 8% more oxygen than anywhere else in the world. This by itself boosts the immune system naturally, and automatically the immune system gets to work on all the ailments of the body. The amount of minerals in the water, the Dead Sea in itself has 32% minerals in the water, salts. I mean, if you fill a glass, 1/3 of it would be, if you evaporate the water, you'll have 1/3 of the glass filled with minerals. Most important is the magnesium, the bromide, the sulfur, the sodium, the potassium. It's a combination of minerals that's not available anywhere in the world. I started the first hotel at the Dead Sea in 1990. And we had a contract, we still have the contract, with the German insurance companies to treat psoriasis. The way we treat psoriasis basically is using the natural elements of the Dead Sea. Psoriasis is a stress-related disease. 2% of the world population has psoriasis. And by boosting the immune system, by relaxing the body and the mind through the oxygen content of the air, by having less damaging ultraviolet B rays reaching the ground because of the depth of the Dead Sea, the depth of the location, and with the evaporation of the sea creates a haze over the Dead Sea that filters the ultraviolet B rays as well. So you can sit and relax at the Dead Sea shores, get a suntan, and you're safely not risking any ultraviolet B rays. So the combination between the seawater, all the minerals, the oxygen, and the sun creates an environment that has grown in the past 20 years to become now a 3,000-room hotels, 6-7 hotels currently at the Dead Sea. And there are several projects coming up as well in that area.
Well, and thank you, Michael, for being here, because you also represent how a government looks at wellness and health. And I know we're going to be talking about medical also from all of you. So thank you. And it's a good reminder from Michael that, you know, this health and spa and wellness arena is not brand new. It's been around for a long, long time. Since the beginning of time, people have traveled for their health. However, there's a modern spa and wellness industry, and I think that's what you're alluding to, that now, and I think, you know, partially because of the stress, there's a lot of interest, and so that's why now packaging and so on is important. And by the way, one of the questions I will be asking everyone here is how you all can make money from this, because I know everyone is interested in where there's some revenue for them, so we will talk about that. Mia, please tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Is my microphone working? My name is Mia. I'm the Chief Brand Officer for Spa Finder Wellness 365. For those of you who may not be aware, it's the world's largest media, marketing, and gifting company for the spa and wellness industry, representing a network of over 20,000 spa wellness locations around the world, a portion of which are wellness travel destinations. And I think one of the most unique things about Spa Finder is that it's really started its roots in spa travel back in 1986. It's been around for nearly 30 years now, really beginning in spa and now wellness travel. So that's about the company. For me personally, prior to coming to Spa Finder, I spent some time at Starwood Hotels and Resorts Worldwide, as Brian had mentioned, where we got to work together. I helped to develop 6 hotel brands for each one of Starwood's brands: Westin, Sheraton, St. Regis, W, and others. We also had a collection of spa and wellness destinations across 26 countries, of which Brian led one of them at the time. We've gone back a ways, and I also have had the pleasure of sitting on the board of the Global Spa and Wellness Summit. So I think it's been a real pleasure to, over the course of 8 years, attend those summits and really see the growth and the launch of wellness travel and wellness tourism, particularly with this report, which we base a lot of our business on now. So thank you.
And one thing I want you to also talk about, Mia, because I think you have a unique experience in something that we are looking at as a future, and that's corporate wellness. Right. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I spent some time running operations of a corporate wellness company called Core Performance, now Exos, out of headquartered Arizona. And I was responsible for corporate wellness deployments and related operations on the campuses of Fortune 500 companies like Google and Intel and IBM, where we deployed nutritionists and performance trainers on the ground, and with the use of technology really helped corporate America and actually corporate Europe, because we came through here to foster a culture of health in the workplace and help employees to improve their own health and well-being. And I think, Susie, one thing you asked me to note, which I didn't, also related, is Westin. I think as the hotels have really started to get into wellness and wellness travel, some brands have gone so far as to position themselves as wellness hotels. And I think was lucky to be part of the team that helped take Weston, starting in the early days, 2004, 2005, smoke-free, and then look at the spa lifestyle outside of the four walls of the spa. So having running maps, incorporating superfoods into the healthy cuisine menus, and really taking time to embrace wellness as an overall part of the stay early on. It's been amazing to see hotels today and how they've really evolved and become version 2.0 and 3.0, and I think that's going to continue.
Yeah.
So
Very, very good. Thank you so much. Can you all hear okay? Do we need to, you're okay with? Great. Well, let's just get right into a question that is top of mind and part of our title is how would you define wellness travel versus medical travel? Just tell it, and then we may disagree, that's fine, because different parts of the world have different backgrounds in that. So just give us some thoughts. Who would like to start? Wellness and medical. Okay? Alfredo?
Definitely, it's very necessary to try to find kind of an agreement internationally of what is what. The main reason to find an agreement is because governments can study better where is the money going and what they should support more in each moment in each part of the world. So I think this is the main reason. Even to do legislation about it. Huh? And I think there are two things that makes the difference to define wellness and medical tourism. One thing is about what is the purpose of the trip. If it's a prevention, or if it is a problem, a health problem that the person needs to treat. This makes an important difference.
That's a distinction for you.
Exactly. And the other point, it's about the place where the people travel to. How is the infrastructure and the team and the license they have in each place to operate. So if it's a place where you have a 24 hours doctor supervision, where you have a health minister license, you are medical oriented. Maybe if you have therapists and natural therapists, you're still improving the health of people, but it's not a medical destination itself. So these are the two distinctions that I would like to remark. One about the reason of the traveler to go to that place, and the second, the infrastructure of the place that it's welcoming the guest.
Well, that's very helpful and clear. What would you say in terms of describing Shaw? Because I know you have medical doctors, and you also have a lot of wellness on your menu. Do you categorize yourself as one or the other, or both?
Well,
or
to complicate this a little bit more, we are a wellness clinic.
You're a wellness clinic. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
So we improve people's health, but with a medical supervision.
Yeah.
The key of SHA is the mix between very advanced medicine. We have an amazing team of doctors. We are going to be the first clinic in Spain working with stem cells. We have anti-aging genetic unit. And from other side, we have thousands of years of history of natural therapies, macrobiotic, nutrition, osteopaths. So how to make these two worlds, East and West, work together? This is a concept, and this is not easy. It looks beautiful to say, but it's not easy to do it in real because, doctors have their own ego. They've been trained, and then the other ones, the therapist, believes that they can cure even better than doctors. To sit all of them and with very humble attitude to say, look, let's work together. We have only one main purpose, and it's to improve this person, this profile, and each one talk, and then to definitely make a treatment where both parts, East and West, agree on.
Well, we're very lucky to have Shaw Wellness represented here because they are really cutting edge, And this whole mix, and I saw a lot of heads going up and down, medical and wellness, a little bit different cultures, and putting that together, very on trend and not so easy to do. So Michael, tell us, because you also have in Jordan the wellness part and the medical part, but do you make a distinction? How do you do that?
Of course, we have to make a distinction since we're in the tourism industry.
Right.
And we try to get either, if the medical aspects want to be promoted, they have to pay us. I mean, the hotels are paying to promote themselves and with the travel agents. So we define, we have three definitions: the hospitalization, the clinical interventions, and the wellness. And the clinical intervention, we sometimes cover it because those patients are staying, or those guests are staying in hotels. They're part of the tourism sector and not of the medical sector. So somebody coming with a disease or a sickness is in the medical tourism, but somebody coming to make sure that he will not get the disease or the sickness, the prevention, is part of the wellness aspect. Some of the clinical interventions could also be part of the wellness and not part of the medical aspect.
Give us an example of some of the clinical interventions, because that's a bit of a...
Well, the psoriasis at the Dead Sea is a clinical intervention. There is a medical doctor.
Yeah.
But the other spas at the Dead Sea, the 7-8 spas that range between 3,000 square meters each to 5,000 square meters each, are mostly caring for wellness, for stress-related diseases or stress-related ailments, where somebody really wants to come and enjoy the oxygen, enjoy the Dead Sea, do his massages, his therapies, eventually go into a weight loss program or other programs.
So you have those sort of
Yes.
three buckets. Michael? I'm sorry, Brian?
It's interesting now, just hearing what the gentleman has said there. We're very much on the wellness side. We don't do any what you would term as medical or clinical at all. We made a very specific decision not to do that. And it's interesting though, because a year and a half ago, we actually launched, Sue and the team launched a recovery package, which is for those who are suffering from cancer or who are undergoing cancer treatments. Now, and this brings us into another whole discussion, because having had my own school, I know what all therapists in the UK are taught, and that it is a contraindication for therapists to treat people who have had cancer or who are undergoing cancer treatment, and for at least 3 to 5 years afterwards. So when we thought that this was not right at all, and Sue did a bit more digging, and we now have got therapists who are trained by the Christie Trust in Manchester. So I think we're one of very, very few people who will actually promote and treat people who have actually got cancer or who are undergoing cancer treatments. And I think when you think about it, why would we not do that? So I think there's a fundamental issue there with regard to training of therapists and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. So when we talk about wellness and clinics and the medical side, from a Scottish point, there's a wee touch of medical involved there, I suppose, with people who have got cancer, but we don't do any other type. And I would differentiate between wellness and medical being for those who tend to go away on holiday and come back and they've got a very fresh face all of a sudden. So they've gone for a wellness holiday, but they've possibly gone for a medical holiday.
And I was just going to point out that my guess is that with people who have cancer, it's not about curing the cancer, it's about helping them feel better and feel good and feeling good about themselves, which is obviously very important. Mia, tell us your thoughts on these categories.
We're focused, predominantly wellness lifestyle side of the business. I mean, we are also a consumer resource for those that are looking to feel good and live well all year round. And so we're squarely on proactive measures to help improve day-to-day quality of life. And that could be being able to take part in a spa break. It could be taking part in wellness travel for an extended period of time, but also getting access to lifestyle information for beauty, nutrition, fitness, mindfulness, relationships, and so forth. We have 8 categories of wellness that we focus on. So very much focused on the proactive side of the equation. And I think, Brian, what you mentioned about cancer, I think that's something that's going to be a really strong place for the wellness side to actually help those simply living with cancer. We've signed a relationship most recently with an organization called Wellness for Cancer to give those properties in our network access to additional training to be able to help those individuals living with cancer every day. And I think we're going to see more of that kind of, I would say, complementary area, Susie, where people will be able to, on the wellness side of the equation, help people that are going through curative stages or reactive stages in their lives on the medical tourism side, but help them to improve their day-to-day quality of life as they're undergoing more reactive or curative care.
One of the things I'm hearing from several of you, and it's certainly been something that's pointed out in the research, is the importance of simplifying. Talk a little bit about that, because how important is that in terms of the consumer as well as internally for your business? Yeah, Michael.
And I would like to add something regarding the cancer, since it was mentioned.
Yeah.
And the oxygen content at the Dead Sea. The oxygen content, we're actively looking for a research center, because we have found that in the Jordan Valley, where oxygen is higher, the incidence of cancer is lower. So we're actively looking for a research center to come and make a research for somebody spending time at the Dead Sea. Would he cure faster, even if he continues with a therapy, treatment, chemotherapy or whatever? Or is that boosting of the immune system, which is much better because of the oxygen, going to help people recover without the need for any further treatment? On the other hand, we know that many places in the world now, post-operative care is very important. And sometimes they're renting them an oxygen chamber at home to heal faster after an operation. Naturally, it is available at the Dead Sea without sitting in a room or a closed cubicle.
Small little oxygen chamber, which might not be quite as comfortable as being out at the Dead Sea.
Exactly. So that's what I wanted to add, that this 1,000 square kilometer spa is available naturally.
Michael brings up a good point about research, because we're seeing more research. In fact, one of the things that the Wellness Institute has done, we have a website called wellnessevidence.com, if you have a chance to go there. What has happened, because nowadays, thanks to technology, there are databases that doctors have been able to access, but now are accessible by all of our industry and consumers, travel agents, and so on. So if you want to, for example, go to that website, you can click on yoga, massage, acupuncture, and it will take you to a list of the medical research. So I think there's going to be more of that around things like the Dead Sea and thermal mineral springs. And so we encourage that as an industry, because that way people can transparently see where there's research, where there's not. That doesn't mean something isn't going to work. Ayurveda, for example, doesn't have a lot of research because it's so difficult to have double-blind studies. That doesn't mean it doesn't work, but it's transparent to see there hasn't been a lot of research. And so encouraging research at the Dead Sea would be really fantastic. You were mentioning, Alfredo, about the importance of simplicity. What about the government in Spain? How do they promote medical or wellness or both, or how does that work?
Well, now we are in a crisis, and I think they don't promote anything.
So you're in a crisis and they're not promoting anything, okay?
Yes, no. It's a matter of interest of the government.
Yep.
They know that organically it's been growing. But they really don't know how to make it possible. First of all, because there is not associations that can represent the private interest. So this is the first step, to have an interlocutor. It means a person that represents a whole sector. So this is the step where we are now. Becomes then Spain, as you know, have different regions. So each region is creating his own organ to represent this, all the medical and wellness industry. So I really think there is everything to do there. There's nothing done. We had done an amazing job in tourism in Spain. Just to you to remember, this year we had 62 million tourists in Spain. That means that we are the second country in the world receiving tourists. And
It's big numbers.
it is
Say
big.
the first.
Just to give you an idea, Spain have only 49 million people, so we have a lot of tourists a year there. First country in the world is United States, and second one by expand is Spain. Second one by visit is France, and third is Spain. So it depends in which ranking it's second or third.
Yeah.
So this amazing job that we have done as a promotion of Spain in tourism, we should do it now in this niche that is health and wellness.
Yes, it certainly shows the opportunity for governments to be also promoting. And I think that's why having the simplicity and helping a government know how to promote. And what I'm hearing here is that medical is doctors, rules, regulations. Wellness is a little bit more on the preventive side. And those two pieces, I think are something that helps with government's vision, and also the industries, and perhaps also for agents and the travel business and so on. Brian?
Certainly in the United Kingdom, I don't believe our government does enough at all with regard to wellness. I think that if you look historically back at the UK, the amount of ancient spa towns that we have is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of natural spa towns that we had, and they've all just disappeared virtually. And what is interesting when you look at what we're doing with cancer prevention, etc., one of the stumbling blocks with regard to, I think, and Alfredo was talking, where does the money go? The government, I think, won't invest sufficient amounts of money into well-being or wellness, because a lot of the insurance companies will not insure people, because the doctors have got that sewn up on the medical side. And because there's not enough data with regard to, what are good preventative...
Right, the value of prevention.
What is the value of preventative medicine and alternative therapies, that's why I think it's very difficult for government to think about how much money will they chuck into this. But actually, if you think, it becomes very obvious that with the state of the National Health Service in the United Kingdom, they're going to have to look at this quite severely.
Yeah,
Susan?
it's seeing that. Yeah, go ahead.
I actually was going to say, I think what's amazing about the time we're all in, and for those who've been in the industry for a while, I think for the first time in 10 years, we're actually at a tipping point in terms of data. I am so excited at the global level to have, this amazing report, that we reference all the time, the Global Wellness Tourism Economy Report at the high level. Within it gives the regional data around the world. Now we also have things like wellnessevidence.com, where we can pull out the peer-reviewed research and actually speak to the benefits, because historically, and I used to run spas, whether you're single unit or multi-unit, we're not good at promoting the benefits, but now we've got a resource that we can point to say this is what specifically the benefit of massages or yoga or whatever. And then also the consumer research, where we're going right down to how does the consumer, it's something that we do quite a bit, define health and wellness to them while they're traveling. And so I just feel like there's all this convergent of data out there where we're going to be at a point to really quantify ourselves and legitimize even further the business.
Wouldn't it be amazing if all of our health ministers in all of our different European countries, etc., saw the Global Wellness Institute data? Because I bet you they haven't. And the information that has been pulled together there has been quite phenomenal, really. And that must have taken you quite a few years.
Well, we work with SRI International,
Yeah.
Stanford Research Institute, was founded as that, and it's very expensive to do that kind of research, but as an interest, as a group, we can all benefit from it. Before we go to questions, I promised I was going to ask each of you to let the group know they're in the travel world in some way or another. How can they make money? Do you have people visit your places? Do you give commissions? What would be your word to the group in terms of where the resources are, revenue, money?
Where do we make money? Well,
where do they make money?
Where does the people out here make money? Not us.
Well,
gosh, it's hard enough for us to make money. But, I think what is changing, and I did mention that we're not 5-star, we're not wonderfully posh like Alfredo here, but we've got, but we have, and I think there is a change here too in the more affordable treatments, places to stay, and wellness packages. Wellness packages have, in the old health farm language, have always been places where wealthy people went. And I think there's a big change in that. And I don't think that it's just wealthy people who are looking at this now. It is about everybody, and people are saving up to go on these holidays because they want to feel better anyway. So I think there is a huge change there. So
a bigger market.
It is growing and growing and growing. And certainly in the last 2.5 years at the Lifehouse, the demographic that we have is it is so varied. It is unbelievable. We have got from the lowest demographic to the highest. I mean, we've got all sorts that come. We have people from Knightsbridge, and then we've got people from deepest, darkest Essex, which is quite a random sort of mixture of people. So without doubt, there's a big difference of the types of people who are now visiting us. So you do not need to be wealthy at all.
Do you give commission? Do you invite tour operators, travel agents to come and visit?
We have got more than 30 different spa operators that we work with, spa and wellness operators that we work with. So yes, we do give commissions. I'm always beating them down, of course, because they always ask for far too much. But that's how they make their money, but equally that's how we make ours. So we have to come to a compromise. And yes, out of all of our business, about 30% will be spa and wellness operators. All the rest is virtually booked directly with us.
Michael?
Well, with us,
Alfredo.
With us, this team can win a lot of money.
Tell us how. First of all, tell us how much it costs to go to shop.
Well, average spend for day at SHA, it's 1,000 euros.
Per day?
Per day.
1,000 euros per day?
Per room.
Per room, okay.
Average is 1.4 persons by room, and average stay is 7 days.
So 7 days, so your average billing would be 7,000 euros or more?
Exactly.
Okay.
So imagine, commission of this is a lot of money.
So what commission do you give?
What we do is to select travel agencies, tour operators that understand what are the needs of our visitors, and that have experience with wellness or medical before. If not, and they have a big potential, we train them. We have a course of 2 days where they can learn to be able to manage a good booking process before coming to us. Because it's a specific cell, it's not the general cell that other ones. We're talking about the biggest treasure people have, health.
Yep.
So you have to know a little bit about it.
So you do some
to
training.
be able to sell, yeah.
And do you invite people to come visit and see what you're doing?
We don't like invite too much.
Because it's the privacy of
people
who are paying 7,000 euros.
But about your question, the system is the following. When some cooperators make a reservation with us, they sell two things. One is a room, and then it's a package. Room, we have 4 different categories, beginning in the Deluxe Suite and finishing in Royal Suite. And then we have 10 different programs. Each health program, it's a minimum stay of 1 week. And we have a detox, weight loss, anti-aging, fitness, sleeping disorders, Anti-smoking.
So the way you're set up, you're really helping the fact that people are going to book for
Exactly.
a longer period of time. It's not going to be a short
Exactly.
stay.
So that's how we do it.
Michael?
Generally, I mean, it's basically a hotel business at the Dead Sea, and of course, it's commissionable. And the Jordan Tourism Board that promotes business to Jordan has a wellness segment, and we do invite fam trips and agents to come over and see and experience the Dead Sea. Also in Jordan, since we're the #1 country in the Arab world in medical tourism, and the 5th in the world in attracting non-Jordanians to come over to Jordan, there is a lot of management or companies that are managing medical tourism and that are paying commissions.
And the medical tourism bookings are by facilitators. It's different than...
It's a different thing,
it's a different booking. So anything, Mia? And then I'm going to ask questions.
Sure. Properties in our network are encouraged to post commissionable deals so that we are always not just going B2B and B2C, but B2B as well, and working with travel agents and tour operators. We're actually launching a global wellness tourism guide, travel guide, in February, because we find that if you invest in the travel agents, they invest in you. But as you taught us, all of these wellness consumers are high-yield tourists, so if we can just get them to come to the doors, they will spend more. So
we do get operators coming to us a lot, nearly every week. We will have somebody coming because of the fact that it is still so new.
Yes, we all kind of see there needs to be an education, and the more we all work together, the more we build the... I know with Spa Finder also, it helps people who may not... I mean, there's a lot of complexity here, and to be able to go somewhere that kind of helps with explaining some of the different categories, then that's a big help. Questions out there? Yes. Is there a microphone we can... Yeah.
I have a question for Brian.
Okay, question for Brian.
What is a sample package that you offer for a person who has cancer or is recovering from cancer? And second part of the question is, when you do provide these kind of packages, whether they're 4-day, 7-day, would the whole package be commissionable to a travel advisor, or is just the room rate commissionable? Because that's always a question that a travel advisor has when we're booking, if it's a destination spa or a resort spa, how much of it is commissionable to us? Because if we're working with the client and helping them plan their trip and their treatments, we put a lot of time into that.
Yeah, it's a very good question. To date, we have not paid commission on any of our, what we call our recovery packages for those who are going through cancer or maybe post-operation treatments. And the recovery package that we sell is anything from 3 to 7 days. It depends on the individual. We do not stipulate exactly what our packages are. It's up to the individual. So, and we make that very clear. We're not like the old health farms, and we do not tell the guests what they should do. We work with the guests, and we create, and with Sue, our naturopath, a lot of our packages are very, very bespoke. And so,
do you think you might entertain the idea of doing that?
Would we entertain the idea? Yes, we would.
Yeah, because I think that would be very
I think in
popular.
the future, and I think from now going forward, I think there's a massive opportunity. Because if you think of how many people have got cancer, I'm sure every one of us in this room will know somebody who has cancer, or who has had cancer, or who is going through cancer treatment. So the answer to your question is yes, we would. So
we're running out of time. One more question, just very quickly. Keith, did you have your hand up there?
Keith Pollard from International Medical Travel Journal and Treatment Abroad. I wanted to give you some good news. There's been a project for the UN World Tourism Organization and European Travel Commission that's been going on over the last year to define the differences in the taxonomy and the sectors, which I believe they're due to publish in the coming months. It's very much in alignment with what you've been saying here. It consulted a lot of people around medical tourism and wellness tourism around the world. I think it is really important to define, particularly from your point of view of the countries that are investing in medical tourism, wellness tourism, because I certainly, I have a very strong view that much of the markets on both sides is very hyped. Governments invent numbers. There's no real measurement true measurement that enables anyone to compare whether Thailand is the biggest medical tourism destination or it's Bolivia, to be honest. And we really need to, this industry needs to sort itself out. So I think that's a great step forward.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. I think, you know, it's great to know that there are other organizations that we're all circling around this, because the more we can agree on some definitions, the simplification of it, the better it will be for all of us. And I like the fact that, you know, medical travel, there's a market, and wellness travel, there's a market, and so that doesn't mean they can't, you know, recommend each other. Because sometimes you need medical intervention, sometimes, you know, you want to do prevention, and just, you know, as we found out on the first day, and you mentioned it too, Brian, feeling better. Wellness is about feeling better, and everyone wants to feel better. Now, I know we're going to have some wellness awards, which is why we need to cut this short, but Mia, do you want to just tell us very quickly what that's about, and then we will wrap it up, and if you have any other questions, just come up and ask individually.
Sure. John, do you want to? Great.
John.
This is great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank Susie and the panel. I think they've been absolutely amazing and giving us a real insight into the two areas of medical versus wellness tourism. What I'd like to offer you now as a bit of wellness is to invite you, if you want to go to the back of the room, to enjoy a glass of champagne on us while we prepare the room for the Wellness Travel Awards, which will start in about 10 minutes. So thank you very much to the panel, and do help yourselves to a drink.
Thank you for the panel, and thank you for being here.